Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor and please subscribe if you haven't already. Ow! Hot off the press, I'm holding in my hands the latest November 2023 issue of Guitar World magazine. Based on the cover, you can clearly see that this issue is dedicated to the 90s. A dude who works for Guitar World named Andrew Daly devised a list that contains 10 essential, must-have, can't live without live albums that were each released at some point during the 90s. Side note, I was born in 1996, so I hardly have any memories of the 90s. However, I do have a soft spot for a lot of 90s music, including some featured on this list. Enough beating around the bush, let the countdown begin. Number 10, 98 Live Meltdown by Judas Priest. Recorded during the Tim Ripper Owens era Jugulator World Tour, 98 Live Meltdown finds the mighty Priest sporting a different configuration than their 80s heyday. Sure, the twin guitar attack of Glenn Tipton / KK Downing is in fine form, but this record might not be one for purists. Still, 98 Live Meltdown smokes, and if we're being honest, Owens never did get a fair shake from Priest fans. Indeed, Owens does a fine job with the Halford-era tracks, but it's unsurprisingly the Jugulator cuts that scintillate most. Number 9, Pearl Jam Live on Two Legs. Pearl Jam's commercial viability had waned, if only slightly, by 1998. But that didn't stop them from booking a monster world tour in the wake of Yield, released the same year. As fate would have it, the shows from the summer leg of said tour were so strong that the band couldn't help themselves by releasing Live on Two Legs to commemorate the jaunt. In truth, no self-respecting 90s list of this nature would be complete without Mike McCready and Stone Gossard's dueling grunge fury. Number 8, Hell Freezes Over by the Eagles. When the Eagles called it a day in 1980, Don Henley famously said that the band would play together again when Hell Freezes Over. Well, in 1994, Hell did freeze over, resulting in an Eagles reunion in this tidy live disc. Hell Freezes Over will probably always be secondary to Eagles Live. Still, it did one's heart good to see the Eagles' Hotel California era lineup winding down that desert highway again. Hell Freezes Over is essential because a new generation was clued in on the heroics of a Les Paul slinging Joe Walsh, ably bookended by Don Felder, and for that, we're forever thankful. Number 7, Social Distortion Live at the Roxy. If you've never had the pleasure of seeing Mike Ness and company live, you should probably change that. If you're a fan of twangy cowpunk, that is. Regardless of where your musical allegiance lie, it's hard to deny that the SoCal staples were on fire on the evening Live at the Roxy was recorded in the spring of 1998. Moreover, it could be said that the versions of Ball and Chain and Story of My Life with some tasty fretwork from Ness and Dennis Dennell should be considered definitive. Number 6, No Quarter, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant Unleaded, Page and Plant. If you're a Zepp head, there's no denying that No Quarter, Jimmy Page, and Robert Plant Unleaded is a thing of musical glory. Some will point out that Page and Plant should have involved John Paul Jones, but no matter. This album is at times explosive. The eclectic renditions of the classics combined with 4 new songs made for true listeners' delight. Also, the unwedded version of Kashmir, featuring Page going off with his Les Paul Gold Top tuned to simulate the sound of his Dano Electric DC-59, might be the best version of all. Seriously. Number 5, Fish, a Live One. If you're the type that enjoys listening to 15 to 20 minute renditions of modern-day jam band classics resulting in 131 minutes of tomfoolery, then we'd wager Fish's A Live One is for you. To be sure, listening to Trey Anastasio run wild in all his fusion glory is quite lovely, but guitar heroics aside, the giant country horns getting in on the fun for Gumbo may well be the highlight. The horns Anastasio exploits, and the eclectic nature of Fish make for a listen that is utterly distinct, if not entirely over the top, in the same breath. Number 4, Alive 3 by Kiss. Makeup diehards can, will, and do deride this album, but true fans know the truth. Kiss Alive 3 gives Alive 1975 a run for its money, but if we detach ourselves from those bold assertions and get down to the crux of the matter, Alive 3 is a hypercharged merging of Kiss's past exploits, blended with, at the time, new cuts from Revenge 1992. If anything, Alive 3 is a reminder that Kiss's 90s lineup was not to be trifled with. Moreover, Bruce Kulick proved that with an ESP in his hands, he was, and is, one of the genre's most unassuming heroes. Number 3, AC/DC Live. Like a hammer to your skull, AC/DC Live reminded us of the simplistic power of AC/DC. Sourced from a riveting show at Donington Park during the Razor's Edge tour in August of '91, AC/DC wound through a set featuring hits from all eras, treating fans to heaping servings of good old boogie-woogie rock from down under. Angus and Malcolm Young's interwoven leads and rhythms were never better, making AC/DC Live the group's most essential live testament. Number 2, Weld by Neil Young. Neil Young has long been the guitar anti-hero that linchpins generations of nonconformist musical outlooks. In the spirit of bucking all things pop-oriented, we direct you to Young's essential live masterstroke, Weld. Weld found Young reunited with Crazy Horse, notably low-key guitar hero Frank Sampedro, treating devotees to an awe-inspiring amalgam classic mixed with cuts from Ragged Glory. If you missed Weld when it dropped and have remained in the dark since then, this is your call to action. Number 1, Nirvana MTV Unplugged in New York. Few images from the 90s are as everlasting as Kurt Cobain's final aching moments, delivering the conclusive utterances of Nirvana's iconic cover of Lead Belly's Where Did You Sleep Last Night. Cobain was never a shredder, nor did he claim to want to change the world. Still, the unwilling hero did just that, through his songwriting and unique aggressive approach to the guitar. Many will remember Nirvana for their Cockalorum bluster, but the truth is that Cobain and company were never more vulnerable, honest, and memorable than during MTV Unplugged in New York. Well, that completes the countdown. Do you agree or disagree with these picks? Are there any 90s live albums that you would add to the list? Let me know in the comments. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Till then, rock on.